Alrighty guys, welcome to another video. My name is Leo Venus. I am a medical doctor and a bioengineer, and on this channel we talk about nutrition, health, lifestyle, and pretty much anything that interests us. Now if you're new to this channel, consider clicking the subscribe button and the notification bell next to it so you can be notified every time I put out a new video. So today's video is going to be about a certain vitamin which is talked about quite a lot actually on the internet, and that is vitamin K. More specifically K2, which is the second largest vitamin in the Himalayan vitamin range. Little mountain joke there. But seriously though, what is vitamin K? So vitamin K is a fat-soluble vitamin, one of the fat-soluble vitamins along with vitamins A, E, and D, which means that this particular vitamin needs to have fat around it in order to be optimally absorbed into the system, as opposed to the water-soluble vitamins such as the B vitamins and vitamin C. And the reason vitamin K is called vitamin K is that it was actually coined after the German word for coagulation, which in German starts with a K.
Coagulation.
So there are basically two main functions that we know about for this vitamin. The first one has to do with its role in blood clotting, because multiple of the blood clotting factors in our bodies are actually dependent on vitamin K for their synthesis. And for the biology nerds among you, you may remember that these are the factors 2, 7, 9, and 10 of the coagulation cascade. And this is actually how the drug Coumadin or warfarin, which is a blood thinner, works. It works by inhibiting the vitamin K dependent factors in our blood and keeps our blood from coagulating as easily. Interesting fact actually about Coumadin or warfarin is that before it was licensed for use in humans, it used to be used as a rat poison. Now the second function for vitamin K is that it is involved in calcium metabolism and is thought to play an important role in maintaining healthy bones. So how much of this vitamin do we need? Well, the RDI, or the recommended intake, is 120 micrograms for men, 90 micrograms for women, and then lower amounts for younger children. That being said, let's take a look at what foods contain the most vitamin K. Okay, so here we have a nutrient rating chart from whfoods.org, which is a great website by the way, and as you can see here, it's mostly coming from vegetables as well as some fruits, berries, and legumes. Now, if you want to know the amounts in terms of micrograms with the RDIs for men and women in mind, let's take a look at what some of the typical servings of these foods would give you when you consume them. Okay, so half a cup of boiled broccoli will give you around 110 micrograms of vitamin K. A half cup of boiled Swiss chard will give you around 286 micrograms. Half a cup of boiled collards, 418 micrograms. What about Popeye's food? Some boiled spinach. Half a cup gives you 442 micrograms. And then to top the list we have kale, which is king, giving you 531 micrograms for half a cup of shredded boiled kale. Now the question that always arises in my comments are around vitamin K2 and vegan, since when you look at the two main types of vitamin K, there is vitamin K1 or phylloquinone, which is found in a wide variety of plant foods, and then there is vitamin K2 or menaquinone, which is not found in any vegan foods. It's found in animal tissues as well as being produced by certain bacteria. Well, no, that's not quite true. There's a Japanese food called natto, which is a type of fermented soybean usually eaten for breakfast, containing about 1,000 micrograms per 100 gram portion. However, it's not really the soybeans that contain this vitamin K2 or this menaquinone. It's because it was fermented by certain bacteria that actually produce that vitamin K2. In the same way, many animals have the ability to produce vitamin K2 and absorb them, and it just so happens that human beings are one of those animals, having various bacterial species in our guts that have the capability of producing menaquinone or vitamin K2 and then being able to absorb it further down in the small intestine. In fact, it is extremely rare for human beings to have a vitamin K deficiency due to insufficient dietary intake. However, knock out the bacterial flora with some antibiotics and low vitamin K levels can lead to bleeding disorders. From a public health perspective, the main concern around vitamin K is actually around newborns who, similarly to the previous example, are more prone to vitamin K deficiency because their intestinal systems have not yet been colonized by those vitamin K producing bacteria. However, even here it is relatively rare, with only about 1 in 10,000 newborns having a significant deficiency. There are also claims that vitamin K2 can reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease, with studies like this prospective cohort study, which was done in Rotterdam, finding that phylloquinone or vitamin K1 was associated with an increased total cholesterol, while menaquinone or vitamin K2 was associated with a decrease in total serum cholesterol and an increase in HDL cholesterol. By the way, there used to be this myth around HDL cholesterol being the good cholesterol, right? The so-called good cholesterol that everybody wants to have more of. However, nowadays the evidence suggests that there seems to be no protective benefit around having really high HDL levels, so I think we can ignore that last point. Now, in terms of higher quality evidence, then we do have data from, for example, this randomized controlled trial, which found that increasing the intake of vitamin K1 but not K2 was related to a lower risk of cardiovascular disease mortality. So in summary, there isn't really much evidence to support a lot of these vitamin K2 claims, and there's even less to support that eating foods that are high in K2 would be beneficial. And this is the issue with a lot of these nutritional studies, is that we're getting so focused on the little details, so focused on the tiny little components, trying to take those components out of context, out of the foods from which they come from, and then making conclusions about those components in isolation. However, in reality, when we're eating a food, we're eating a whole package with all kinds of different nutrients mixed together, and the impact that has on your health can be very different than these isolated studies. And to be honest, realistically, this is how everyone should think of nutrition, is the whole package and the big perspective. As always, once you take the whole perspective, you get the big point of view, then things start to make a lot more sense. So what is the relevance of all of this? Well, if we're going to try to be pragmatic here and take a look at the actual health outcome data, it turns out that eating foods that are high in vitamin K1, such as vegetables, leads to better health and lower cardiovascular disease rates, whereas eating animal foods, which are high in vitamin K2, tends to do the opposite. Furthermore, there is no health outcome data suggesting that people who do not consume K2 at all suffer any negative health consequences because of it. So in other words, there is no real life science out there to suggest that we should even be worried about vitamin K2 in the first place. And the only reason this argument even exists, the only reason this is such a big topic today, is because we have so many emotional denialists out there who are desperately looking for an excuse, or for multiple excuses, to justify not adopting a plant-based lifestyle. So that being said, don't let this fear-mongering affect you. Stay evidence-based, stay science-based, and go plant-based. Or even better, if you are already plant-based, stay plant-based.